Hey, hello and good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today is Friday, ladies and gentlemen, the NFP day, as I keep on calling it. Look, we have the U.S. job numbers, the final sets, because we had jobs, we had the ADP, now we're getting the NFP. So hey, look, stick around. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session. We'll talk about all that in a bit, and yeah, I'll see you in a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and good morning. This is me, Darius Anucauskas, and I'm Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And yep, today is Friday. Today is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the NFP day, as I keep on calling it. Yes, so I want to welcome you into this last trading day of this week, but the first Friday of this month. We can play this game all over and over. Honestly, we can find always some sort of like a unique moment about this specific day. So look, today, like I said, today is NFP day. We also have the Canadian job numbers coming out, so it could be quite an interesting day. Now, look, before we jump into all that action, let me just quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm not going to disappear anywhere. I'm just going to stick around here. But yeah, I think that we already have been having in quite an interesting week so far. To be honest, we had the Bank of Canada interest rate decision. We had the ECB yesterday. I mean, we'll basically wrap up the week in a bit, but also just a quick. Oh, why is this shifted now? Has this shifted a little bit? There we go. So also, just a quick mentioning of our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei225. Now, we're seeing a nice little rebound. By the way, I'm looking at the cash index today. I just wanted to pick up on these because on the cash indices, because again, we're having some movement in the markets. Yesterday, we had a bit of a shakeup at the end of the trading session. So, yeah, the two guys are not really, the bromance is kind of fading away. At least it seems like that. And you probably know who I am talking about. If you're constantly monitoring the situation, the political situation, then in the U.S., then you will probably understand who I am talking about. So one is the richest guy in the world. One is the one who's kind of dictating the rules and how the market kind of, and the market moves after whatever he posts and tweets. So yes, Nikkei225, looking at this, we're having a little bit of a rebound here. That's fine. In terms of economic data, let's have a look very quickly if we had anything this morning from Japan. Not really. So it's kind of, we're keeping an eye on the job numbers from Canada and the US. So that's going to be the main driving force. Look. From the technical perspective, I'm loving the fact that we remain above all the EMAs here on the daily chart, so that's great. That's what I'm enjoying here. There is a chance for this one to push higher still, but again, let's not forget that this move higher can still be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of selling, basically, because if this downside line, which is taken from the highest point of July, holds, then yes, great. Another decline here could be possible. So of course, if it breaks, then breaks. Yes, we could go higher. But the thing is, the problem which I have with this index is that it's kind of, if it's going to react to the Bank of Japan actions, then we could see, you know, a move lower at the end of the day, or well, at the end of the day, it's maybe way too broad of a term, but let's say, you know, going into when's the next meeting, the next interest rate decision from the BoJ? That's going to be in July. Right, yes, July. Oh no, wait, no, sorry, June 17th. There we go, June 17th. But we're not expecting any action there. I think it's the next one that is going to be quite interesting. I think it's going to be July or August. Anyway, like somewhere at the end of summer, in the second half of summer, because that's when the bank is kind of thinking of hiking rates. Because again, inflation has been, you know, picking up, and you know, we saw the CPIs, the Tokyo core CPI as well picking up. So in a way, they need to be, you know, careful with this one. However, the problem there is that the Japanese yen remains somewhat on the stronger side, and that's kind of a tricky moment. And because again, if they're gonna, you know, do they want to have a strong Japanese yen? Yes, it's good. It's going to be good for the domestic consumer. However, for the Japanese exports, well, that's something, you know, probably they will have to deal with a smaller trade balance. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's like the game that the governments have to, that the central banks have to play all the time. So yes, not the government, sorry, the central banks. So yeah, the moment, like I said, we could see some action to the upside. We could see like a, you know, a calming moment in the stock market. You know, where the two guys, the two bros, are gonna sort it out, and you know, we saw some positivity apparently. I cannot actually say much, but because again, there's not much information available about the recent call between the two leaders of China and the U.S., and that's why, like I said, it's really unknown. I mean, apparently they agreed to continue communicating. Great. I mean, that's, you know, help. Okay, for now it's helpful. But is there any like, are we getting any like concrete resolution from this? Not really. So we're basically at the point where we will continue probably pushing higher, but you know, with an element of the doubt. Because any day we'll get probably next week we'll get some sort of a crazy headline which will, you know, send the stock market lower a little bit, and then the next day we'll recover again. So I'm kind of looking at this, you know, it's like a weekend thing, and you know, like during the weekends we get some sort of crazy stuff coming out from the White House, and then like boom, it kind of gets contradicted on Monday or Tuesday, and we are all back to normal again. Anyway. Look, so for now, like I said, I'm leaning towards the upside a little bit, as long as we stay above the above all the EMAs on my daily chart here. If you can see those, the green, the blue, and the white line, and then we'll go from there. US index here, US 30, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So look, I mean, this one's an interesting one as well, because again, although we saw a little bit of retracement yesterday, because of this kind of bromance falling out, then yeah, I mean, but the market is right now pushing back up. It seems like that, at least. So I will continue targeting the upside, to be honest, because again, I said it before and I'll say it again, maybe this is forming something of a nice inverted head and shoulders pattern. So the neckline is being right there. Let me just highlight it for our future reference. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is the area that I'm monitoring very carefully, and yeah, if we can get a nice clearance of that one, which is around the 42,000, kind of 800, and let's maybe take the middle here at 50. If we can clear that, yes, I'll go for the upside. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to put for the second session in a row, I keep forgetting to put good morning everyone in the chat room. I hope everybody's having a wonderful start of Friday. And on that note, let's jump into the S&P 500. Like, there we go, boom. Also flirting with that this barrier here. I talked about it. We're currently kind of stuck in this little range, it seems like that. But we keep on flirting with the upper side of this little range. Let's see if we can break that again, and most importantly, let's see if we can get the daily candle staying above this area, and then we'll go for the 6,147 territory or even above that. And Nasdaq yesterday suffered a big decline, well, we know where that came from, and that's the stock where it came from. So yeah, Tesla basically yesterday took a hit, and we understand why. So you can have a look at the news as well. But briefly, basically that there was a threat that Trump will block all the what's the word for that, the EV. The EV grants. Just let me what was the name for that, subsidy, like EV subsidies. I think that was the thing. So again, I don't quote me on this. I need to kind of refresh my memory on this, because then, I mean, which would basically damage all the government contracts for Tesla. That's also something that the current president decided to oh my god, what a block of words today from this morning from me. Basically, to postpone, there we go, so the government contract. So basically this would eat into Tesla's profits, of course, and we saw the decline here. Look, I think that they will reach some sort of an agreement again. I think that they will calm down, and I think that yes, we could see this one actually pushing back up a little bit. However, at this point, I just want to have I just want to be careful, be cautious. I don't want to rush into things. And let's see how this will play out. For now, like I said, it's a very interesting drama happening. Again, if you are invested into Tesla, then yeah, I probably, that's not a good moment right now for you. But if you are trading Tesla, then maybe you could actually squeeze something out of this one, So let's see. Coming back to Nasdaq, look, I'm gonna remain positive. However, as I said before, I need that push above the 21,805 zone. This is what we got yesterday, but we failed to see the candle, the body of this candlestick, this daily candlestick staying above this hurdle. That's what I need. I need to see the body of the daily candle staying above this area. If we can stay, then great. I'll go towards the all-time high, and then we'll take it from there. So in terms of economic data coming out today, so of course, NFP, non-farm payrolls. The problem here that we have is that we are expecting to see a lower number. And what I said to you recently and let me just show you what I am talking about. Yep, basically you can check out my video, which I did here yesterday on our YouTube channel. So the NFP video, basically, so you can check it out. I talked a lot about this. I mean, so I'm not gonna spend too much time talking on this one, but right now. But like I said, you can check out that video specifically on the NFP. I kind of broke it down a little bit. But what I'm watching today, I am also very much watching the previous number, because I'm curious what kind of adjustment we will get there. If we're gonna get a lower adjustment, okay. That's then the interesting bit is what will be the actual number, because at the moment, yes, the actual number is important, but also what kind of adjustment we'll get, because so far we're getting very low numbers, very low NFP numbers, and we'll go from there basically, because in a way, if we do get a disappointing number, and by disappointing number, basically I mean by number lower than the forecast, lower than the previous figure, but also lower than the previous figure if it gets adjusted to the downside, and then yes, we'll, because if it gets adjusted to the upside, then the question is like, why were you so, why you were so negative? What was the problem, last time? So like, why did you calculate it this way? And maybe the economy is actually doing quite well. So that's another thing to consider. So anyway, long story short, for now, like I said, I'm still leaning towards the upside, but given that we have a special day, I will say I'm not going to rush into things, and I'm just going to monitor, as it comes. And most importantly, we have also this little short-term upside line taken from the low of the 23rd of May, and if that upside line gets broken, this may open the door to slightly lower areas. Let's jump into the dollar index. So yes, of course, the US dollar will be the one that could be hit. So because if let's say we start seeing unemployment coming out at let's say higher than 4.2, what's the current one? Let me just 4.2 is it just a second. US average hourly earnings, government payrolls, unemployment, there we go, that's the one, 4.2. yes. So if unemployment comes out maybe slightly higher than the 4.2, this is where, I think the current US administration could start attacking Mr. Powell again, because again, like in general, I think I will say for the future, any number, any important economic data set, if it comes out, let's say, worse than expected, then I think we could get the renewed attacks on Powell from the White House. Basically, cut rates. In terms of cutting rates, we know that the interest rate decision is coming up in June. The Federal Reserve interest rate decision is coming up in June on the 18th, and during that meeting we are expected not to see anything, not to see any of the cuts, hikes, or whatever. But in general, by the end of this year, we're expecting to see only 2 cuts. If you remember, there was a moment we were expecting actually 4 and 5 rate cuts by the end of this year. But I think the economy was not feeling very well then, especially in the beginning of April. Yeah, that's when we were seeing those higher probabilities. But now, I think they're going to stick to the no cuts this month, no cuts in July, maybe probably maybe 1 cut in September or October. But again, it also really depends. It depends on inflation. Inflation so far is on the lower side. The headline CPI figure is on the lower side, but it seems like it is expected to make its way back up. Now, with the dollar index, look, if like I said, if we have like really kind of crappy numbers from the US, I think that this could continue its journey south. In a way, it's maybe in favor of the US government. Why? Because again, it's making US goods more attractive and making other foreign goods a little bit more expensive. Now, let's jump into the German index DAX. And look, this one is open already, so I want to jump into this straight away into the main index. Yesterday, we saw a beautiful creation of a new all-time high, and this is what I love to see. Why? Because look, the key important area of resistance was back here, and actually, you know what? The previous all-time high was here. Was it 24,346 that I have here? 3,004. Yeah, 46. This is the interesting bit. So we had a nice hit, a nice clearance of that previous all-time high. And then we failed to close the day above it. This to me looks like a bit of a reversal signal, and looking at this picture here as well, it seems like we created something maybe of a doji here, a shooting, or maybe actually more of a shooting star, and hey, maybe this could lead to a drift back down. Look, as long as we continue to trade below the 24,346 zone, that's the high of Wednesday, that's the previous kind of all-time high, and not even looking at the current all-time high, I'm looking at the previous all-time high. If we continue to trade below that, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside, ladies and gentlemen. So yesterday we also saw the ECB coming out with the interest rate decision. Let me just jump into that very quickly. So as we understood from the press conference, that they are going to continue with the taking a data dependent approach. That's what they always say. And so far I think that we are not seeing any possibility for like a stopping of the cuts. They will continue supporting the economy. Fair enough. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. But I think that what they're trying also to do right now is maybe to drop the euro a little bit, because the euro is a little bit on the stronger side, and they're kind of losing that battle to the US, you know, at the moment. So it's getting a little bit more too expensive to trade with the US. So yeah, at the moment, like I said, maybe this is what's driving the downside scenario here. Not to mention the kind of the little feud between the two influential people in the US. So yes, all that is kind of, you know, pointing a little bit more towards the downside again. But I'm not rushing into things yet. I want to see how today's day is going to play out, but at the moment I'm kind of leaning a little bit more for a bit of a correction here back down. Let's see if that's going to play out. The FTSE 100, let's have a look at the FTSE 100 pushing higher. Yes, so far so good. This one is on fire, and I think that it will end up traveling to the all-time high. The question is when will it be? Will it be today or actually something for next week? I think it's something for next week. This 8,900 and let's round it up 10 area. If we can reach that, brilliant. We could create, you know, maybe we could actually go for a new all-time high. Let's jump into the Forex world very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. AUDUSD, beautiful push here. Again, the same story. We're kind of, look, we're kind of struggling with some of these barriers. So 0.85 territory, I think, yeah, this one is a little bit of a tricky one, although it's an interesting as well, because at the moment 0.65 is acting something I feel like a psychological barrier. And if we do eventually push and stay above that 0.65 territory, then great. I will lean towards the upside. Very straightforward. But again, keep your eyes on today's NFP, especially if you're trading this pair. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. If we do see some weakness in the US dollar, then certainly this could, you know, continue its journey north. AUDJPY, so this one's struggling with the upside because, again, due to geopolitical tensions, as I keep on reminding everybody that this is our risk on, risk off monitor. Yep, for now it's the tricky moment here. So it seems like we want to go higher, but we have obstacles, like for example this 93.56 territory, or actually, you know what, I think it's maybe this one right now. Yep, there we go. 93.84 zone. I think this is a much better area, much better barrier to watch. It coincides nicely with my 100-day EMA here, so that's good here. That's basically creating this nice barrier for the upside. If we can clear that, amazing. I'll go towards the 200-day EMA. Let's jump into NZD/USD, one of my favorite ones. There we go. We're clearing the upper side here. Beautiful. So let's again, for now I'm sticking to the upside, but I have to say that, you know, it's not your ordinary day, and you need to be a little bit more on the safe side. So just, you know, if you are trading something US dollar related, then just remember that it's not your usual day, right? I mean, you need to keep an eye on the data, and maybe it's even better, you know, to kind of wait until the data comes out and then maybe do something about it. USDJPY. USDJPY is also at an interesting spot here as well. We are still, overall, we're still below this downside line taken from the highest point of January of this year. So, long story short, for now, as long as we stay below this downside line, the trend remains to the downside. However, I would prefer to wait for a drop below the 142 territory just to get a little bit more careful and, you know, excited with lower levels. Any move up to this downside line could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of selling. So basically something like this happening. And if that gets cleared, if the downside line gets cleared, then yes, I will consider a move to the upside. But I need to see also a push up of the 146.28 zone, and then we'll go from there. USDCAD, looking at this. So I talked about this yesterday. Basically, look, I mean, I was leaning towards the downside, but look, I mean, we reached my target. My target was here, this upside line, taken from the lowest point of December of 2023. And now, what I want to say is that maybe, just maybe, we could see a nice rebound here, given that we have a special day today, and this pair specifically. If you are trading this pair, then be very careful with it, because we have US and Canadian job numbers, both influential, both affecting their own currencies, and well, we could see some volatility here, so be careful with that one. But at the moment, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe a little bit of a rebound here if we continue to trade above this upside line. USDCHF, look, of course, I'm leaning towards the downside in general on this one, but I need a confirmation break below the 0.8156 territory. If I can get that, amazing, I'll go lower. Let's jump into EURUSD. Let's have a look what's happening. Yesterday, Euro enjoyed the moment. We saw this one rallying, but then it kind of stabilized, and most importantly, it moved back below this area right here, if you can see it. So this is roughly around the 1.1454. So we stayed below that. Now it seems like it wants to go back down. But again, for going back down, we need a strong dollar. And so far, I would say that we are, just stuck here a little bit, because we're still stuck in this rising channel. Don't forget we're in this rising channel formation, and while we remain inside of it, we could continue targeting the upside. But for the upside, for me, even within the channel, I need to see a pop above the 1.1454 territory again. EUROJPY, this one's pushing nicely to the, okay, look, this is a mess, getting really messy here. Let me get rid of everything, to be honest, and start fresh. So I think this here, as you can see, this is way too much noise. And I think that if you are trading this one, then it kind of can become a little bit frustrating here. But, it's maybe, I would say it's more suitable maybe for swing traders who are, keeping the position who can keep the position for longer. Because so far, we're still positive, because we are above all my EMAs here on the daily chart. And that means that there is a chance for this one to actually, make its way up again. So, this here, this situation right here, again, I don't know, maybe this is a nice veg forming here. If it's a rising veg, then we could be seeing this one moving lower at some point. So I don't want to rush into things yet. So yes, for now, I'm going to maybe keep an eye on it as a rising veg. Still, that means that we could move inside the veg to the upside, but according to all the tier rules, such patterns tend to break to the downside. So we need to be a little bit more careful with this one. EURUSD, to be honest, nothing interesting. I wanted to pick up on EURNZD. This one's for me a little bit more interesting. Look at this. After this spiking to the psychological 2 level, we declined, we corrected lower quite significantly, to be honest, and now we are kind of near this area of support, this key area of support right here. So this one's roughly drawn from the low of the 20th of March of this year. So at the same time, it also coincides nicely with the 100-day EMA. If that gets cleared, if we can clear this upside line, this 100-day EMA, that's wonderful. That for the bears, and this could open the door towards the 200-day EMA, wherever it's going to be, and then we'll take it from there. For the upside, if somebody's looking for some higher levels here on this one, well, I would caution them for now, but because I need to see a push above this downside line taken from the high of the 21st of April, and then we'll kind of take it from there. Let's jump into not this one, GBPUSD. GBPUSD, yes, we had a good rebound here from this 1.3434 zone. Okay, that's wonderful. So we know the bulls are enjoying the moment, and so far they are continuing to do so. So let me just get rid of this a little bit. So for now, I would say I am still leaning towards the upside, but again, I want to see what's going to happen today with the US dollar. So that's why I am going to stay sidelined on this one, and I'm just going to observe the price action. If we can get a stronger dollar, we could see this pair moving back down, and maybe we'll start ranging here. Who knows? But either way, this becomes quite an important area of resistance, this 1.3593 territory. And then if we can get a clearance of that one, then I'll go for the upside. Let's jump into the commodity world, ladies and gentlemen, gold. So I talked a lot about this week, and I said to you, maybe we're going to get ourselves a nice bullish flag here. So far, it is exactly what's happening here. Yes, yesterday we had a little violation here of the 3,392, but hey, still, look at this beautiful, beautiful bullish flag. Let's see if that's going to be the case. For me, still the 3,392 territory is the one that I'm watching. If we can get a nice clearance of that one, I will go to the upside. For me to consider the downside scenario, a drop below the crossroads of these two lines, the upside line and the upper side of the falling channel, that's what I need to see here. If I can get that move, amazing, I'll go lower. Silver. Silver is continuing to attract buying interest. Look at this. I mean, looking better than gold. And to be honest, it's cheaper and it's also a valuable metal. And there we go. We're getting that nice clearance so far. So good. Look, this worked out like a charm. I was talking about the upside. I was aiming for this downside line, and then we cleared it. We cleared the downside line, and now we're traveling further north. And the question for me is like, how much further are we going to travel here? Well, I would say, of course, the psychological 40 level becomes an attractive target, so be careful. But let me just jump into my other list here, which with the neutral charts. There we go. So we're traveling here, and look, in my opinion, there is a good chance to retest these previous highs, which were here, let's say back in February of 2012, near the 37.5 zone. I think that this could be our first target. We're not far. It's quite doable. So the 37.5, that's what I'm going to aim for now on silver. WTI oil, let's jump back into the daily chart. WTI oil is stuck. However, it's stuck nicely above my downside line here. And it had a good move. It tried to overcome this 60 kind of 4 territory, failed, but not saying anything, there is still a good chance for doing that. So let's see if we can, get that push above the $64 mark. But am I getting very positive then? No, not really, because we have a downside line here. Overall, I'm still bearish on oil because I don't think that demand is there, but this, what we're seeing right now could be this occasional, correction back up, like in order to, gather all the sellers again, the short sellers, and we could drop lower, unless we start clearing the $65 mark and this 100-day EMA on my chart. Then yes, I'll start shifting my attention towards maybe the $70 mark. But at the moment, it's yes, I'm in the short run, in the very, very short run, I'm aiming higher, but I'm being a little bit on the cautious side. Natural gas, very quickly. Natural gas still struggling, but so far so good, because I said to you before that while we remain inside this pattern, which looks like a nice ascending triangle, I'm going to just continue observing the price action. If we can get a nice clearance of the upper side, then yes, I will go to the upside. Let's have a quick look at the platinum. Platinum, look at this, boom, to the upside. There we go. This is working out nicely. I talked about this 1055 territory, held nicely, beautifully, rebounded, pushed higher, cleared the 1100 zone, and there we go, traveling further north, looking good. Palladium is trying. It's trying to pick up. It pushed back above the 1000 zone. That's great. So let's see if it can travel as high as silver and platinum. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the actually quickly on sugar. My beloved sugar continues to slide. Great, wonderful, to be honest. We could pick up on this one at a later stage. Let me just jump back into my list here very quickly, because I have another commodity that I wanted to pick up on. Cotton. There we go. I wanted to have a look at cotton. It's an interesting one. We're struggling to push higher, but we're also struggling to push lower. It seems like it doesn't want to move away from its EMAs. It just wants to continue trading below the EMAs. It's an interesting moment here. I would say we're finding good support here near the 65 mark, or maybe a little bit 64.5 zone. I would say if we do clear the 64.5 territory, then I will consider a move lower. Look, let's jump into the crypto world, ladies and gentlemen. I think that this is something that everybody's watching. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Look, Bitcoin, actually, you know what? Let me get rid of everything. I want to start fresh. I will bring a few things back which I have drawn here recently. So for example, not this one, this one. So this upside line here is an interesting one here as well. I mean, we're still trading above it. Recently, we had this nice decline after hitting a new all-time high near the 112 zone, 112,000 zone. But now we can see that the 50-day EMA provided strong support. We rebounded, and it seemed like we want to go to the upside. However, for the upside, I need to see a break of this downside line. If we can get a nice clearance of this downside line, which is drawn from the highest point, from the all-time high basically, then I will consider a move higher. But the thing is that this downside line is very tentative, so we need a little bit something more reassuring, you know. So I think that this area could be an attractive one to watch. This area is roughly around this 106,000, kind of 700, 600. So actually 106,600, I think that it's more logical approach here to have. So if we get a nice push above that, I will consider a move higher. For the downside, pretty straightforward. Another drop below the 50-day EMA could open the door to the 100-day EMA, and then maybe the 200-day EMA after that. Bitcoin Cash, great decline here. Wonderful test of the EMAs, having a little rebound right now. So I would say this here, you know, this 375 territory is an interesting moment. So yeah, at the moment I am, like I said, I'm keeping an eye on this downside line right here, and if we can get this nice clearance of this downside line, I think I'm gonna start considering the upside again. But the problem is, of course, a few other some other barriers here which could, you know, come out and provide strong resistance. So, but again, we take them all as they come, and we kind of go this way. But look, pretty straightforward. If we start breaking this downside line, I'm going to consider another push higher, especially if we push above the psychological 400 zone. Ethereum, nice beautiful decline, but still within the range here. Yes, we dropped below the 200-day EMA, that's all fine. We still have the 100 and the 50-day EMA which coincide together. They could provide, you know, good support, and we could see this scenario happening here. This is what I talked about this week. So far, so good. Ripple is still within the falling channel. I cannot say anything else apart from you need to wait until we clear one of the sides of the channel. So if we clear the upper side, great, I will go to the upside. But if we clear the lower side at the same time, actually we could clear the 200-day EMA, and that's where the excitement could come for the bears. Litecoin, okay, this one's a little bit messy. Let me get rid of everything and have a fresh look. So again, somebody might say, what about like a falling channel? It is kind of a falling channel, but it's not the most accurate, most exciting one. Let me just, there we go. Let me just draw this very quickly. So something like this, right? Look, yeah, okay, we can do this. We can play this game here. You know, we can stick to that. If you're comfortable with this, I would say, yeah, do whatever you want. That's fine. So we can actually, you know, stick to this in a way. So again, the same story. I need a push above the upper side of the falling channel, and at the same time, this upper side of the falling channel, maybe the break could happen through this barrier, the 90.58 zone. And also we could see a push above all the EMAs on the daily chart, and then we'll go from there. So far, the lower side of the falling channel is holding nicely, but if we start clearing it, then yes, this is opening the door to some lower areas. Dogecoin, yes, is not feeling the love here, so it seems like it's falling back into this falling channel, but again, this is very subjective, so let me remove all the drawings and actually just kind of have a simple approach on this one right now. So I want to do this upside line. So this is what I'm going to aim for on the Dogecoin. I'm going to aim for this upside line taken from the low, the 5th of August of 2024. If we can get a nice test of it, and if it holds, we could see something like this happening. So this is my game plan on Dogecoin. For the upside straight away, let's say if it fails to move towards this upside line, then I would say this downside line could be an interesting one, and I think that this is something, yeah, something that could play out nicely, because if we clear the downside line at the same time, we could clear these EMAs. If we can do that, if we can do that, then yes, amazing. I will consider a move to the upside. Polkadot fell below the $4 mark, and I mean, talking about DOTUSD, because we can have .euro. So at this point, Polkadot is falling below some of the key areas of support. I talked about this in the beginning of this week. 4.33 zone, I talked about this one. We fell below it, and now we're testing this 3.79 zone. We're oscillating around it. So look, I am not gonna say that I am very bearish, but I'm kind of leaning towards the downside, to be honest, still. So you know, we need to see a nice probably push at least back above the psychological 4 zone, and maybe even better a push above the 50-day EMA here shown as the green line, wherever it's going to be. And at the moment it's at around 4.33 zone, which has been a good area of support previously. Now it could take the role of resistance, but you know what, I also am going to keep an eye on this hurdle, this 4.19 zone. If we can push above it, maybe the 50-day EMA will approach this area, and then we could, you know, do something like this. And finally, Tron. Tron is, yeah, I mean, look at this one. This one is like really nice, to be honest. It's positive. It's one of those good ones that you can see. It's actually moving more like a nice Forex pair, which is, I don't see a problem with this one. You know, raises its credibility a little bit. So, yep, but we're struggling with the 0.2786 territory. If we can get that nice clearance of this area right here, I will get a little bit more excited with the upside, but not a clearance like this. I need the body of the daily candle remaining above this area, above the 0.2786. If we can do that, I'll go to the upside. I'll even go to the 0.30 zone. Hey, what, you know, why not? But the downside scenario, of course, on the drop below the 0.25 to 70 zone here would be considered. If we get that drop, then we can consider the downside. So, ladies and gentlemen, I tried to be as quick as possible, and I wanted to cover a lot of stuff here, but thank you very much for watching and listening. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this useful. I hope you will stay safe, have your stop losses in place. You will risk only what you can afford to lose, and you don't overtrade. Look, today we have the NFPs. If you have already done good this week, you know, maybe just stay away from trading. But if you really, really want to trade, then try to use the minimal size, lot size possible, just to protect yourself in case of like one-way traffic. That's my concern. It's Friday. I call it Friday one-way traffic day, you know, so it's like we get these one-way moves very, very occasionally. So just be careful and protect your balance. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall see you Monday, 7 o'clock GMT time as always, and hey, have a great weekend as well. Oh, sorry, no, I'm not gonna see you Monday. I'm gonna see you on Tuesday, because Monday here is a day off, and yep, I will see you on Tuesday, ladies. Sorry, even not Tuesday. Actually, no, Tuesday. I will probably produce some videos on my top news videos. Yes, but Wednesday live session back in the game on Wednesday. So thank you very much, and I'll see you Wednesday. Bye bye.